Welcome everybody to the Financial Advisor Workshop for today. We have a very interesting lady that we're going to talk with today about our industry, and all the financial advisors out there are going to learn a lot, I think. I'll call her the Wow Advisor. I'll call her decidedly spiritual. And we have with us today Melanie Milam. Melanie, welcome to the 4-Star
Thank
Financial
you.
Advisor Workshop. Yes, excellent. And so we had a really nice discussion to kind of lead in, Melanie. Where are you? Where are you residing right now?
So I am in Midland, Texas, and for anyone who doesn't know where that is, it is about 300 miles west of Dallas and 300 miles east of El Paso. So
No,
out in the desert with
and
lots of oil.
kind of in that tall stack of Texas, right in the top part of Texas.
No, it's in right
Huh?
below that tall
Just
stack,
below. Okay,
just below it.
okay,
Yep.
great. And the bushes were there at one point,
The
right?
Bushes lived here. Yes, they did.
Anyway, which is probably a good thing or bad thing, depending on your view of it, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, well, great. Well, Melanie, we talked a little bit about your business and your practice, and I picked up the fact that that you're the Wow Advisor. Tell everybody why you think I said that.
So one of the things that we work really hard at my firm is to make sure that each client truly has what we call a wow experience. And what that means to us is that we are going above and beyond what we see other advisors out there doing, because we want what we're trying to create is raving fans. We want our clients to understand how valuable they are to us, and the fact that it's more than money, that we want that relationship, but we want them to see in a time when people are barely just doing status quo. We really want them to see that, oh my gosh, every time we turn around, Melanie and her boys, like, they just go above and beyond to make sure that we're having a great experience in our as clients of theirs. And we call our clients client family, so they know every time we refer to them as our client family. And that's what we do. We treat them as if they were a very special, valuable member of our family.
Nice. Well, and you can tell already by this discussion that Melanie's got a ton of energy, and it's pretty exciting just to have a conversation with you. You mentioned too that you have your boys. Tell us
Yes.
about your boy. Who are your boys?
So I have 6 kids altogether, and I get to work with 3 of them. So I have my youngest son, his name is Jacob, and he is a fully licensed financial advisor as well. And he is training, he's the one that's training to be me someday. And whenever I retire, and I always say 5 to 10 years down the road, and I've said that for the last 3 years. So who knows when I'll retire? I keep getting to work with more and more of my kids. So I absolutely love what I do, and I love getting to work with them, but he's the one training to be me. And then I have the brother that's right above him is my licensed administrative assistant, and he does all the technology, the paperwork, all the errands for the office, like everything that I don't want to do. He's here in the office with me every single day, so he gets to do all that stuff.
Nice.
And he doesn't mind. He likes to be kind of in the back. He's an introvert, so he does not love to be the one in front of clients, especially if there's bad news to be shared. Like if you're overspending, he's not the one who wants to tell you. And then I have a third son, the one right above him, who's an attorney. And so he's in Dallas. He does the wills, trust, estate planning for my clients. Anyone who needs an LLC, he'll take care of their LLC. Or I've had clients just randomly need all kinds of other legal help, and they'll reach out to Josh. And he will help them with with whatever. Of course, my clients are at the age now that parents are dying, and so Josh has helped them through probate
Yeah.
with their parents' estates, which has been really nice. So yeah, those are my boys, and they are I get to work with them in this amazing business that I have.
This sounds great. Speaking of boys or maybe men, your husband's had a little involvement in this as well, right? So tell us how that all played out and how you got to where you are, and where is he now?
So my husband's had a huge part in this business in that he was originally with Getty, then Texaco, and then at the Chevron Texaco merger, he was the area manager here in Midland, over about 150 people. And his people loved him. I mean, he was one of those managers that he did not micromanage. He believed that his guys could do what they told him that they could do. And so he had a lot of respect from his guys. And so when the Chevron Texaco merger happened, Chevron had a different idea who was going to be in that role. And they had told us that we were going to have to move in the next 6 months. Well, we had 6 kids. It wasn't a good time for us to move. And so that was when, after he got his 150 people kind of positioned, if they wanted to go out with the package, he helped them go out. If they wanted to stay, he helped them stay. Then he went to Chevron and said he wanted the package. And so we ended up with a 2-year severance package to start this business. Well,
Wow.
when you have 2 years of money, which for us, we made it last 3 because we had literally just gotten out of debt just months, including our house, just months before all of this transpired. And so when he went to him, got this, we got 3 years. We were mentored by an advisor out of Lubbock, Texas, and he was independent, had always been independent. And one of the great pieces of advice he had told us was immediately figure out what your niche market is and what people you really want to focus on, and that will help you be successful. So who we wanted to focus on were people that were either transitioning or retiring in the oil business. That's the people we knew. And so, and most of John's contacts had come from Texaco, which was now
Mm-hmm.
Chevron.
Chevron.
So over the years, what that meant was that now my business, I have about 116 client families, and of those, about 90 to 95 have come from Chevron. So that's really cool because that means I know the whole system of how to retire from Chevron or how to transition to a different company from Chevron. And so I get to really be that specialized person here in Midland, that if you want someone who knows everything about helping you leave the company and not making any mistakes, that's what my clients will tell their coworkers. You need to go see Melanie. But in that, going back, John and I worked in this business together for 5 years before then he went back into the oil business. That's his true passion, was operations. And so he got an opportunity with a smaller company to go back into the oil business for another 14 years. So he did that. And so, which was perfect because now he's outside the business again. So anybody he runs across that's within 5 years of retiring, he can tell about his wife, she's a financial advisor, and she would
Mm-hmm.
love to sit down and help you. So he was then again sending me referrals from the outside, which was amazing. And so then in 2019, the company he was with sold, and he was able to, starting June 1st, no longer be employed. For the longest time, I called him unemployed. Now I've gotten so used to him not working that I don't know that I really want him to go back to work, because it's been wonderful. He's gotten to do all kinds of that second half of life stuff where he's been very impactful in helping family members. He had a dear friend that was dying of cancer that he literally went and drove 13 hours one way every single month to spend days with him before he died. His mom had breast cancer. He helped his mom through that. My dad has Alzheimer's, and he has helped take care of my dad, multiple times. Plus, he loves to do remodeling and building of furniture, and he's gotten to do loads of that since. But I tell people he's also my personal assistant. So he gets to do all the cooking now. He gets to do all the grocery shopping. He does all our personal errands. Like, he does pretty much anything that, at our house that I really don't want to do. He's kind of picked up that slack, and he does an incredible job at it. So, and he's still out there telling people, that he knows. in the oil business if they're retiring, encouraging them to come and sit down with me.
So it's not, we talk about niche marketing. Sounds like you have the ultimate niche. You really do.
I really, really do.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do so much for my clients. So with my clients, with Chevron, they have a pension, they have a 401k, and on their pension, we're the ones that fill out the paperwork for them. And, they just have to come in and sign it. They have Chevron Retiree Medical. We help them get signed up for Chevron Retiree Medical. When it comes time for Social Security, we have them in our office and sign them up for Social Security. When it comes to Medicare, we basically, Chevron has a partnership with Via Benefits, which is an exchange program for the Medigap and the prescription D part. We have the clients here in my office, and we help them sign up for all of those things. So we literally help them with every aspect of their retirement life. We call ourselves very holistic because we look at everything that if they want to travel. I have been all over the world. John and I, before COVID, we had traveled internationally, usually 2 or 3 trips a year for the last 10 years. So we have been to all kinds of places. So when my clients come in and they say, hey, we want to go to Hawaii, what do you think? Where would you go? Like, we help them with figuring out travel. If they want to buy a home in retirement, they want their new retirement home. They don't want to live in Midland for the rest of their lives. Imagine that, out here in the desert. Then we help them. I have a mortgage company that I work with that we trust, and we help them, with getting their mortgage in place and figuring out how to do all of that, and just helping them with all the steps with that. So we really do, help our clients with every aspect, so that in retirement they don't feel like they're doing this on their own. And so any kind of major thing that's going to come up, any transition that comes up during that time, they know they can come to our office and we will help them through that life transition.
Fabulous. Fabulous. You talk in terms of running lots of client events as well. And with the whole Chevron thing, it kind of has a whole different sense, doesn't it? So
It
let's talk about that.
does.
Yeah.
Because one of the main events we do is a Chevron retiree celebration party. So every year, we're doing it September 22nd this year. And all
Okay.
of my Chevron retirees that have already retired, all my Chevron employees that are clients of mine already, but are still working, and all of my Chevron prospect, we invite all of them to come. And it's an incredible client event at one of their favorite restaurants here in town. Has a huge party room that we do. And then we do door prizes, which is so incredible for them. So one of the things for door prizes we do is any of my wives who they sell things, or they have little hobbies that they do on the side that they promote, we promote them. So like one client I have, she sells baskets. So I buy 3 of her baskets to give as door prizes. Another client does cashew brittles. So I buy 8 of her 1-pound cashew brittles to give as door prizes. And then we pick the names out of the hat. I have a client that's an author. I buy some of his books. He's there to sign them. So I promote all of their other things at my client event. But for my clients, anytime I do have a client event, since they're all Chevron people, or most of them are, then when they come to a client event, they know at least half or more of anybody who's there at my client events, which makes it a different dynamic.
Right.
When someone retires from Chevron, we offer to do a retirement party for them, where they can invite some of their Chevron couples that were impactful to them during their career at Chevron, but also their adult children. So we can put on this incredible event at the country club where we're honoring them. And so what we usually do is, after the meal, I'll get up and say something a little bit about, if I'm doing 2 people at once, I'll say something about each of them. And then I ask other people to share funny stories. And so the last one I did, we had funny stories, and then some tearjerker stories. but 2 hours of sharing, and it was so neat. And the adult children afterward came up to me and they told me, they were like, that was the most incredible event. Thank you so much for doing that for, for our parents, and which is really neat. They get to see kind of a different side of from what they've always imagined a financial advisor is. And then we do fun educational events, and we're going to do a happy hour this year. I'm in the process of getting a conference room that'll host like 10 people, so 5 couples, and we're going to start doing wine tastings. And so just different ways to do very fun events. But another couple thing, not event wise, that we do every year is on Valentine's, we hand deliver buntlets. So these red velvet buntlets, we hand deliver them to anyone really anyone that's in a 100-mile radius, we do on a couple of days. And then I have clients that are 5 hours away, like in Weatherford and the Dallas area. And so then on the weekend, we go there and deliver to all of them. We do that same kind of hand delivery at Christmas with Kringles, a thing called a Kringle, which is a
Right.
really neat pastry. And
Right.
so we hand deliver those. And so it's 2 different times a year that we're really going and seeing people in person and hand delivering these things, and, and wishing them either happy Valentine's or Merry Christmas or something like that. So they think that's really cool as well.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you got a great vibe, and everyone seems to love your whole activity, and you really have a unique situation with Chevron. You're kind of leading the retirement parties and everything, and
Yes.
usually companies do that. Or there's a little club, but since you're leading so many of them in their financials, that's a great position that you built yourself into. It really
It
is.
it is. It is. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful niche market. And having a niche has really helped me focus on being exceptional with that group of people.
Yes, no doubt. Well, then you also mentioned that you have a CKA, which is the first time that we've heard this on the Financial Advisors Workshop. So tell everybody about what a certified Kingdom advisor is.
So a CKA, Certified Kingdom Advisor, it's a designation that started in 2016. And basically Ron Blue and Larry Burkett kind of put together, they were two of I think 3 or 4 different people that were very instrumental in putting together the program for the CKA. And so you start with taking a college course through Indiana Wesleyan University. And this college course, it takes you it's a 6-month course that you have 20 different modules that you have to complete and you have to pass. And basically the whole premise of it is learning about being a financial advisor with a biblical worldview instead of a secular worldview.
Okay.
So the Bible has over 2,500 scriptures about money in it. And so through CKA, they discuss, every single one of these scriptures and how it relates to managing money, and really going through and teaching you how you can apply biblical principles to literally every single area of financial investing, budgeting, like every area of your practice. Once you finish that program and you pass, which for me, I'm very, very, very high achiever. And so I wanted 100, so I was striving for that. Didn't
Yeah.
quite make 100. I got a 97 point something. And so once you pass that, I think you have to pass with a 72.
Okay.
Then you have a test that you have to take. It's a 5-hour proctored test that you take sitting at a desk with a camera on you. And half of the test is multiple choice, and the other half is it's a big, huge case study that I thought, oh my goodness, there's no way this is going to take me 5 hours. And since then, I've talked to multiple people who've taken the CKA test.
Mhm.
I literally spent 45 minutes on the multiple choice, and then I spent the rest of the time up until 20 seconds on the actual case study. I mean, it is
Okay.
so intense trying to answer all that they want and put down, in a way that's very concise where they can read it well, that you don't have grammatical mistakes. But then once you pass that test, and I think you have to have a 70 or 75 on that.
Right.
Then you have a full application that you have to do. And you have to get references from clients, references from your pastor. You have to write your testimony. You have to write your views on stewardship. So it's a very involved application. And then it takes them about 4 to 6 weeks to go over your application and then reach out to your pastor that you've used as your referral, um, and before they will approve you or deny your application to be a certified kingdom advisor. So I got my CKA, finished the whole process in October of 2020.
2020. Okay. Nice. Excellent. So that has helped you, you think, in the whole issue of continuing the legacy of the money. Let's talk about, your view of who owns all the assets that they have.
So my view of ownership as a believer is that God owns everything we have. I mean, God owns our children, God owns our house, God owns our vehicles, and God definitely owns our money. We are called to be stewards, really great
Hmm.
stewards of that money. And there's the parable of the talents where,
Hmm.
one person was given 10 talents, one person 5 talents, one person 1 talent. And the ones with 10 and 5, they doubled theirs before the master came back. The one with one, just buried it. It didn't even
Hmm.
earn interest. And so when the master came back, the master took away the 1 talent and said, you wicked servant, like you could have at least put it in the bank and collected interest, but you didn't. And then the one that got 5 talents, the one that got 10 talents, they had doubled theirs. And so he said, well done, good and faithful servant. Well, I believe that even today, that's how God blesses us. If we are good stewards with what, and it's not always financial blessings, but God blesses us when we're good stewards with what he has entrusted us to manage. And so just helping my clients understand that concept really a lot of times takes the fear out of, oh, am I going to have enough money or am I going to run out of money,
Hmm.
before I die? When they begin to really understand and live that concept of they're just the managers. And if you be a great manager, God is going to bless you in so many ways, not just financially, but he's going to bless you and help you make sure that money lasts until you die. It really has helped take the fear out. Plus, it also has helped encourage people to be more generous, to give more, to figure out what, charitable organizations they're passionate about, and to really both give of your time and of your money to those charitable organizations and not just keep it all for yourself. Because as I tell every one of my clients, none of your kids need to be made multimillionaires when you die. They don't need that. Like you should have taught your kids well enough that they should be able to make it on their own. And then what they get as an inheritance is a blessing to them, not harmful to them, but it doesn't discourage them from continuing to work and be productive in their lives as well. So maybe we look at giving away more and not leaving so much to the next generation.
So that's how you get them comfortable with that, to realize that they have plenty and you do
Yes.
intense planning and then they can feel comfortable, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's been neat to see my clients who have truly, well, and the other thing I encourage them too is if you have children, adult children, that right now you are watching them and watching how they're using their own money and they're being great stewards, then why don't you think about blessing them right now with this 16,000 per child per person you can do, from the IRS, that they don't have to pay taxes on, you don't have to claim on a gift tax return. Why don't you do that if you have children who are already being good stewards? Because it will impact their lives more now than when you die. And
Hmm.
so it's funny because I had told multiple of my clients before Christmas this year that they should consider doing that. Since then, I've had several of them come back and give the stories of just how overwhelmed their kids were and how grateful they were, and just how they talked about how they want to be good with this money that their parents have entrusted them with, and just want to make sure that they use it well. And maybe that means paying off debt, maybe that means the down payment of for a house. But it really has, that my clients now have gotten to see how it impacts their kids right now, right here, versus when they die, they'll never see how it impacts their kids. And
Exactly.
so they've loved that concept as well, not just giving to charity right now, but also passing on some of that wealth to your children that are already prepared to receive it, that will use it wisely. I said, and the other thing too is, if you give it to a child and you see that they waste it all, then you'll think twice about,
Right.
number one, what does your will say about how much you're leaving them? But before you give them another major gift like that, you'll want to make sure you've done more training and that you've watched them as they've matured on being good stewards with their money.
And they got it together.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, great. So, it sounds so positive, and you've got a great vibe. Boy, the leadership I feel here is powerful. The sense of purpose is powerful. Um, tell us about the other side, that when there's some tough times in the business, what in your mind would be a tough time, and describe a tough time that you've dealt with and how you dealt with it.
So when my husband and I started this business, like I said, we had 3 years. I mean, we made it last, but we had 3 years of income. So we were very deliberate on how we started. But on year 4, so we had run out of all that money. And on year 4 was our hardest year in this business. And we literally only made 30,000. That's gross. $30,000. And that's all the income that we had that year. And we didn't, I'm a huge proponent of, I don't want any debt. And so, because we had just, we had paid our house off before we started this, I didn't want
Mhm.
any debt. And so that was a year of trust. And so we prayed a lot. And we were extremely frugal in everything we did. Well, fast forward, year 5, it's just a little bit better. Well, that's when my husband decided, at the end of year 5 is when he decided to go back in the oil business. And so I had taken this business over myself. And so we're in year 6 now. I am homeschooling my kids. So they are in my front room. I am working, and so they're working on their stuff in between, when I'm doing stuff here, and then I have clients coming in, well, and they're seeing that my kids are, doing their school in the front room. And I remember one day I just felt so overwhelmed, and I was here in my office and I just started crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do all this. I can't homeschool those kids and make sure they're ready for college. And I can't be exceptional for these clients. I can't do all of this by myself. And I remember that in that time, I just all of a sudden felt this sense of peace, and this just little small voice going, Melanie, I didn't ask you to do it all yourself. All I asked you to do was be obedient, one day at a time. I just want
Mhm.
you to be obedient, one day at a time. I am going to equip you to homeschool those kids, and I am going to equip you to be an incredible advisor for those clients. And all you have to do, don't worry about the future, just be really good one day at a time. And so
Mhm.
from that point on, I had this sense of peace that, okay, God, this is what you've called me to do. This is what you want me to do. And all I need to do is trust, one day at a time.
Move
And so
forward. Move forward.
exactly, I would say that's what, in the really hard times, I just remember that, one day at a time. And all I need to do is work to be exceptional this very day.
So now that we're focusing on days, what do you think the future looks like beyond the days, like 2 years from now, and 4 years from now, and 5 years from now? What does that look like for you?
Well, it's so exciting for me as I watch my sons, in this business, and how passionate they are for what we do. Um, you talk about 1 year from now. What I envision 1 year from now is I have a conference room that I am waiting for furniture because of supply chain issues. But once that conference room is up and running, one of the things that we want to start hosting on a regular basis is what's called a journey of generosity. And it's either a 1 day or a 2 half-day event. And I will be able to do it with 4 or 5 couples at a time. And it really takes people through that idea of being more generous givers and being more
Mhm.
deliberate about figuring out what is, how much is enough for you and how much is enough for leaving for your kids. And looking at that excess you have when you get past those two numbers and going ahead and being deliberate about giving. And so that's what I see us being able to do is more of that and more of really bringing people in and helping them get excited about this next half of life, this after they retire from Chevron, life after Chevron. What is that going to look like? And helping equip and encourage and empower people for their second half of life to be better than their first half of life, where they move from success to significance. That's what I want for my clients, is I want them to move into that significance portion of life where they're not having to worry about, oh my gosh, I've got a meeting at 5, and I got a meeting at 8, and I've got to do all this stuff. Now I can truly focus on being significant and bringing significance to my life to where I can impact others and know that I'm making a difference. Because what really matters in our life is we have a day we're born, we have a day, someday we're going to die. What matters is, what does our dash in between say? When we pass away, what are people going to say about us? And what are they going to remember about us? And I want for my clients, I want that this next part of their life to be so impactful that that's what people are remembering about them, is all that they did in this next part of life to finish well.
Nice. Melanie, you've got so much energy and so many great ideas. It's just powerful to hear you describe your practice and all the things that you do and how your clients love you. And it's really exciting. If you could give the collective financial advisor world out there, and there'll be a few thousand people in our industry that see this, so they'll be hearing this message. What would the message be? What would you like to say to all the financial, besides all the great things you've already said? Is there any main message you'd like to send to all of them about building a practice and being intentional and all the things that you are?
Yeah. So one of the things over the years that I've learned is when I take the time and granted, I know when a couple's coming in, typically they're going to have over $1 million. So I have time to invest in them. But
Mhm.
my first meeting with a couple is a get to know you meeting. And we spend 2 hours I've got a list of 34 questions that just helps prompt me. And so I will spend, of that 2 hours, I spend 15 minutes introducing me, talking about my business, my sons. The rest of that hour and 45 minutes, I am asking them questions and I'm taking notes because I want to learn about this couple. And that has revolutionized my business, because people now see me as, and none of that is about money. Like, that is about,
Mhm.
you know, um, where did you grow up? How did y'all meet? Tell me about your first day. Tell me about your children. Tell me about your pets. Do you like to travel? What was your favorite trip? All these things about them, them as people and a couple, and not about how much money do you have. Then my second meeting, I've sent them home a list of what I want them to collect and bring back. So my second meeting, they bring back all the documents I want. It's another 2-hour meeting, and basically same kind of thing. I look at what they have. I ask any questions, but then I have follow-up questions of things that I didn't ask the first time, just to get to know them better. So I make sure on that second meeting that at least half the time they are the ones doing the talking, because I want them to feel like I'm listening to what you're wanting. What are your goals in retirement? What are your aspirations? What are you scared about going into retirement? What are you looking forward to? Then on the third meeting, it's a carryback meeting. So it is this is kind of the plan I would put together. Before I tell them my plan, I have a list or I have 7 charts that I kind of go over of the why behind the recommendation that I'm going to make. And those 7 charts have truly helped me to help clients or prospects understand why I want you to have some of your money in an annuity, and why we're doing managed money, and the group that I'm using for, the money manager, why I like this group so much, and how they position it for retirement. So I go through those, then I go through the plan. And then once again, I have them ask any questions they have on it. But by that point, and that's another 2-hour meeting. So by the end of my third meeting, I have met with this couple for 6 hours. And but if I decide, because I tell them at meeting 1 that I'm interviewing them just like they're interviewing me, because
Right.
I don't want any poopy clients in my business. I don't have time for that. And so if I don't feel like a couple's a great fit for me, and I don't feel like I'm a great fit for them, then I want to make sure that we don't add them in just because they have how many ever millions of dollars. That's not
Right.
doing us any service, and it's not doing them any service. So for instance, I know if a couple comes in and they have no children and family is not important to them. If family is not important to them because for some reason or another they're estranged from both sides of their family, I'm not a great fit. I have 6 children. If any of my kids has some kind of major accident and I get called and I'm going to go. I'm going to reschedule you and I'm going to go. And
Right.
and if family's not important to you, you're not going to understand that urgency that I feel to go be where a family member needs me. And so there's other factors I use to figure out if, we're a good fit or not. If I see a husband that doesn't respect his wife, I'm not a good fit for you, because that is not going to fly with me.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure, and for sure, by the end of a third meeting, I can kind of tell if they're a good fit for me. And by then they can tell if I'm a good fit for them. And usually I would say 96% of the time, if I want that couple by the end of that third meeting, I can usually have that couple,
That's great.
because I've worked so hard to get to know them, and they understand that they would be a priority to me and that wife. Here's another area where I feel like and I'm not picking on male financial advisors at all. I'm hoping to give them great advice here, but I feel like male financial advisors have failed in connecting with wives, and especially wives who either have never worked or wives who've had jobs that are much less than her husband. If she's bringing much less to the table, a lot of times the male financial advisors don't see her as valuable, when truly, if it's a healthy marriage, she has so much say on who they're picking for the financial advisor,
Yes.
and much more than and that's why the statistics out there show that when a husband dies, 70% of the time the wife is going to move to a different financial advisor because she never felt connected with the one that she was with.
Right.
By the end of meeting 1, my goal is always to have connected with that wife. I
With
work
both.
really hard to connect with her, and I make sure I direct questions to her. I listen for her responses. I interact with her. I look her eye to eye. I don't care if she was a housewife their entire married life. I want her to know that I value her in this relationship, and I value her in the decisions that we're going to make going forward.
Melanie, thank you. This has been a great, great discussion. You have a vibe that we seldom see, and this is exciting. You're a great inspiration to our industry, and I think we'll leave it there. But maybe we'll check in with you, later in the year, just to get an update on where you guys are and what's new and what's happening. But thank you for being with us here today in the Financial Advisor Workshop, Melanie.
Thanks so much. It was such a pleasure. I appreciate the invitation.
For Melanie, for myself, for all the great people at 4-Star, that'll be it for the day. We'll be back with another outstanding financial advisor and have a great conversation. Again, thanks, and again, Melanie, for being with us. Take care.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.